Next story of the day, I'm excited to talk about this because I really did my research and I was blown away by the video. First, I want to say Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I've told conservatives and right-wingers to stop talking about her. Any press is good press, but it's okay to challenge people's arguments, and even the left, it's okay to challenge Trump. Like, I'm all good with a little, but where they failed this last election is instead of really challenging his ideas, they said, racist, sexist, he's dumb, he's an orange ape or whatever. And it's like, they talked about him so much, they got him elected because they brought him up, but instead of countering him, they just like, oh, his words hurt my feelings, and it wasn't popular. So with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I've warned people, if you're going to talk about her like I am right now, try to make a convincing argument that progressives and left-leaning people might understand, rather than just say, she's stupid, she would plug electricity into itself and blow herself up. And you're like, what? Like, how is that a valid argument? It's like NPC behavior, like on the left to Trump. It makes no sense. And I can't stand that like 90% of conservatives are talking about her in that way. Like, explain why it doesn't work. I'm about to do that. Also, I want to say, I just like to lead with love and compliments sometimes. She does a really good job on Instagram. I understand why she's popular to people that are younger. She's really good. She posts and makes it really relatable. I'm going to be honest, I follow her on Instagram and I'm learning stuff about Congress because she posts like, here's how it works. And, very good. I'm a big social media guy, so she's good at that. Now on to the video and why nothing she said makes sense. Jake Tapper called her out. He said even left-leaning studies say that your plan of Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is, universal health care will cost $40 trillion. And she didn't deny that for one bit. She didn't say, no, it's not going to cost that. So she's kind of accepting that it would cost $40 trillion.
Your platform has called for various new programs, including Medicare for all, housing as a federal right, a federal jobs guarantee, tuition-free public college, canceling all student loan debt. According to nonpartisan and left-leaning studies friendly to your cause, including the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities or the Tax Policy Center, the overall price tag is more than $40 trillion in the next decade. You recently said in an interview that increasing taxes on the very wealthy plus an increased corporate tax rate would make $2 trillion over the next 10 years. So where's the other $38 trillion going to come from?
Well, one of the things that we need to realize when we look at something like Medicare for all would save the American people a very large amount of money. And what we see as well is that these systems are not just pie in the sky. Many of them are accomplished by every modern civilized democracy in the Western world. The United Kingdom has a form of single-payer health care. Canada, France, Germany. What we need to realize is that these investments are better and they are good for our future. These are generational investments, so that they're not short-term band-aids, but they are really profound decisions about who we want to be as a nation and how we want to act as the wealthiest nation in the history of the world.
Right. Now, I get that. But the price tag for everything that you've laid out in your campaign is $40 trillion over the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. I understand that Medicare for all would cost more to some wealthier people and to the government and to taxpayers while also reducing individual health care expenditures. But I'm talking about the overall package. You say it's not pie in the sky, but $40 trillion is quite a bit of money. And the taxes that you talked about raising to pay for this, to pay for your agenda, only count for two. And we're going by left-leaning analysts.
Jake Tapper had a good question. I mean, Jake Tapper, he's like 5% for me. 95% of the time, he's annoying. But when he's on, he's on. Very rare, but he's done it before. He's had Tulsi Gabbard on to talk about Syria. He's grilled Sheriff Israel. And this is like the third time I've liked him. But I think he's funny. Anyway. Ocasio-Cortez said it's going to save the people large amounts of money. It's not pie in the sky. She literally had no reason of why it wouldn't do that. But here's what I want to say about her argument. And I really challenge my progressive friends who watch other progressives to challenge them, like I expect to be challenged myself. She said every modern civilized democracy in the Western world does this. And this is a huge talking point with Bernie Sanders and progressives. And she says,
every modern civilized democracy in the Western world. The United Kingdom has a form of single-payer health care. Canada, France, Germany.
UK, Canada, France, and Germany. So she mentioned France, Canada, Germany, and UK. First of all, pretty ballsy to mention France when it's on fire, and high taxes are a huge reason, and also unfettered immigration, which has kind of tanked their country and really ticked people off all over Europe. It's literally the #1 reason why Canada's going right-wing. Brazil, I mean, identity politics, political correctness, Brazil went right-wing. Sweden, Poland has been right-wing, but it's like Spain just went right-wing in their lower region. It's because of this stuff. So she mentions France and doesn't even mention that their whole city's on fire. So it's like, how honest do you think you are? She mentioned the UK, and I'm glad she did, because the UK has had skyrocketing gun crime, violent crime, knife crime, rape, female genital mutilation. They surpassed New York City for the first time ever in London for having the highest murder rate. And although they say it's lower than New York City now, they say it's going to be the biggest murder rate in London in a decade. Police, this is straight out of mainstream news. They say police admit they don't understand why the rape rate is up. They can't figure it out. I wonder why. When you have a totalitarian, authoritarian government that doesn't let you have free speech, you get arrested for Facebook posts, you get banned and deleted. My followers are now getting deleted off of Facebook, banned permanently so they can't watch my videos. I wonder why the rape rate's going up. When you silence the smart side of the debate, and the naive, foolish, and weak side of the debate gets to run rampant and make all the mistakes they want. I wonder why the rape rate's up. But on to also the healthcare in that country, it's actually not doing as well as they say. First of all, have you ever heard of anybody going to the UK for dentistry or health? I haven't, but the chief executive of Patients Association admits that these figures are concerning when it comes to, they had a chart from 1947 to today about how long it took to see a nurse, how long it took to see a doctor, how long it took to see a hospital expert in the emergency room. And the charts are tanking, like it's really bad. And even, like I said, it's the chief executive of the Patients Association. These figures are concerning. I want everyone to have health care. I want everyone to get an education. I agree with all the progressive Bernie Sanders talking points, but what you don't understand is when you have a system that they're taking your money, it's legalized theft. They steal your money and say, we're going to give you services. And then they take in hundreds of thousands of people who are literally raising the gun, violent crime, knife crime. Every sort of crime is up in UK. And the health is going down. It's a ticking time bomb. I love the idea of it. I think it's great. I think it sounds really good that you're so not racist that you're going to steal people's money, redistribute it, and give a health service that everybody can come together on. It sounds amazing, but it doesn't work, and it's not working in the UK. All of the countries that she named are having profound crisis. It's a huge refugee crisis in Europe, and it's not getting better. Expect what happened in France to start happening. I'm not saying to burn the whole city down. I hope they don't. But the UK and Germany and Sweden, they're not going in this direction. They're going in this direction because of left-leaning policies. Not just the high taxes and spread out healthcare, so millions of people are paying into it and hundreds of thousands are taking out from working class families, but also, and it does have to do with healthcare. A lot of people say, well, the immigration crisis, I agree with you, but it doesn't have to do with healthcare. Well, it does mathematically from people taking out of the system you're paying into, but it also does. Name one progressive besides Bill Mayer once every 3 months, and he's not even a real progressive. He's like a neoliberal who makes sense every now and then. Name one progressive from Cortez to Bernie Sanders to the Young Turks to Jimmy Dore to Kyle Kalinske to anybody. Name one that talks about the refugee and migration crisis and explains how it's not working in Europe, one way or the other. I'm not saying who you could blame. Yes, the wars had something to do with it. Absolutely, I agree. George Bush to Obama to McCain to Hillary, they're all corrupt. They all, in my personal opinion, committed war crimes that are way worse than anything Trump's ever done. But now what, though? That's the question. Okay, now, so you're going to tank all of Europe because you feel bad that Hillary Clinton is trying to destroy and take over the whole world and the United Nations is ruining everything, so you're going to ruin the Western world that everyone's trying to go to? I don't understand. There's no progressive, and this is my big beef with Alexandria. I don't know one. This is why I don't consider myself progressive anymore. They don't exist. All of progressives and all of liberals, although I know they mean well, and maybe some of the policies would work if they talked about immigration, honestly, They don't do that. So their whole system is take your taxes, raise everything. They have no idea how they're going to fund it because it's going to come from your money. Federal Reserve is not taking out a loan to pay for you. It's your money. And then they're bringing in hundreds of thousands of people who are going to take out of the system, going to raise violent crime and rape because, I mean, go to India, talk to Indians, talk to Hindus, talk to Christians in India, talk to Christians in Pakistan, go to Somalia, go to Yemen, go to Syria, go to any of these countries and talk to the citizens, and then you'll figure out why there's hundreds of millions of people in this world that you don't want in your country. It has nothing to do with race, religion, gender. Has specifically to do with extremists of certain religions and of certain ethnicities that don't like you. They want to destroy Western civilization. They will rape, they gang rape, they murder, they'll stone people to death because of their sexual preferences. Like, not liberal. These people are not liberal. They're far right-wing, extremist, radical, whatever you want to call them. You don't want them in your country. And they brought them into Europe. And no one on the left cares. They're more concerned with pretending to not be racist than actually protect their own people. And this affects Latinos in America. This affects black people. This affects Europeans of all kinds. This affects Africans who migrated here 10, 15 years ago. Like, this isn't going to help my African friends or my Indian friends. Talk to a Hindu about the Hindu-Muslim beef and what they do to them in India. I mean, it's a pretty crazy history they have of beefing. So nothing she said makes sense. None of them care about this stuff, and Europe is going to pay the consequences. Luckily, we won't here, thanks to Trump, but we will in California and other places because they don't have that, like, click on in their head where they're like, I want to do this, but then I'm going to try to do math and science and really add it up. They just throw it all at you and say, you're racist, sexist, xenophobic. We're going to cut the legs out from under you if you disagree with us. She also mentioned Canada and Germany. Canada, in Ontario and Quebec, they both went conservative. The new leaders of Quebec and Ontario are conservative. The Liberal Party in Ontario lost an epic defeat of like 151 years. So the healthcare is not leading people to vote liberal. Yes, it has to do with Justin Trudeau being like a white Canadian Obama, but it's a lot of stuff going on, man. And there's tens of hundreds of millions of people who've been Democratic Party their whole life or progressive that want to talk about this stuff, but like no one wants to. Even Hillary Clinton admitted it a week ago because it's unavoidable. So the fact that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez brings up UK, Canada, France, and Germany, Germany's paying migrants that they brought in that are now kind of screwing up Germany. They're paying them a year's worth of salary to go back to their country. How not racist is that? They're like, oh yeah, we're so not racist. Here's a year's worth of stay. Go back to your home country. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're ridiculous because they don't know how to handle themselves. They're super weak. She went on to say, so they're not short-term Band-Aids. So her policy of $40 trillion that she doesn't know how to pay for, it's going to come from your money. And then they're going to bring in hundreds of thousands upon millions of people who take out of that pot but don't pay into it. So it is your money. She says it's not a short-term Band-Aid, which is ridiculous because there's nothing more short-term Band-Aid than progressive policies. I wish it wasn't true. I wish they worked really well, but taking people's tax money and putting it into a pot that grows and grows and grows and grows, there's nothing more wrong about what she said. That is the definition of a short-term Band-Aid. You get health care for a year or two, it's going to go up, just like Obamacare, except for worse. And it's not free. There's no freedom involved. I don't want health care. Maybe I want to spend my money on a chiropractor. Maybe I want to spend it on a massage. Maybe I want to buy tea and holistic medicine, and I want to take care of myself and get exercise, get a better apartment that doesn't have mold. You can't do that under Bernie Sanders' health plan. It is financial enslavement. They are thieves that literally take your money and tell you, now you can go to this doctor. The wait times, of course, are going to increase. I mean, it's basic math. Doctors are not free to they're forcefully there. But anyway, long story short, nothing she said made sense. I would love to have a debate or conversation. And if you talk about her, please don't just say she's dumb. That sounds like what they did to Trump. And she is getting more powerful. It's because nobody's debunking her arguments. And it's also because 19 and 20-year-old kids are not very bright, just like I wasn't. I thought Obama was cool because he smoked marijuana when I was 20. So, hopefully kids grow up. But they won't if you don't give them a good argument. Hopefully that helped. You could show it to your kid.
The United Kingdom has a form of single-payer health care. Canada, France, Germany. What we need to realize is that these investments are better and they are good for our future. These are generational investments, so that they're not short-term band-aids, but they are really profound decisions about who we want to be as a nation and how we want to act as the wealthiest nation in the history of the world.
Right. Now, I get that, but the price tag for everything that you've laid out in your campaign is $40 trillion over the next 10 years. I understand that Medicare for All would cost more to some wealthier people and to the government and to taxpayers, while also reducing individual health care expenditures. But I'm talking about the overall package. You say it's not pie in the sky, but $40 trillion is quite a bit of money. And the taxes that you talked about raising to pay for this, to pay for your agenda, only count for 2. And we're going by left-leaning analysts.
Right. Well, when you look again at how our health care works, currently we pay much of these costs go into the private sector. So what we see is, for example, a year ago, I was working downtown in a restaurant. I went around and I asked, how many of you folks have health insurance? Not a single person did, because they would have had to have paid $200 a month for a payment for insurance that had an $8,000 deductible. What these represent are lower costs overall for these programs. And additionally, what this is a broader agenda. We do know and we acknowledge that there are political realities. They don't always happen with just the wave of a wand, but we can work to make these things happen. And in fact, when you look at the economic activity that it spurs, for example, if you look at my generation, millennials, the amount of economic activity that we do not engage in, the fact that we delay purchasing homes, that we don't participate in the economy and purchasing cars, etc., as fully as possible, is a cost. It is an externality, if you will, of unprecedented amounts of student loan debt.
I'm assuming I'm not going to get an answer for the other $38 trillion, but we'll have you back and maybe we can go over that.